I am over 2 weeks into 2018. I have seen 7 movies so far, and I've only been able to review one of them. So let's try to take some time and do some movie reviews. And let's start with the second movie I saw this year, which is The Strange Ones. The Strange Ones is one of those movies that's a little hard to talk about the plot because talking about the plot might give away too much, so I'm going to try to be as spoiler-free as possible. Ultimately, it is about two brothers going on a road trip, going camping, but as we soon realize, they have deep, dark secrets. They might not actually be brothers, and they might be running from something very traumatic. Now, that's not as detailed as some of the other plots I've described in my movie reviews, but it's one of those films where you gotta watch it for yourself and figure it out for yourself, because it is a little bit more of a minimalistic film, in the same vein as It Comes at Night, or a few other movies of that nature. Not only is The Strange Ones a little hard to describe with the plot, it is a little hard to figure out how I honestly feel about the movie, because there's a bunch of moments and a bunch of things about it that I do admire and do appreciate, but then there is moments where, even though it's more of a minimalistic film, it's a little bit more mundane and a little bit more boring than other minimalistic films that I've loved in the past. But let's try to get the good out of the way first, because there is quite a few things that I like about it. First off, I do like the performances in this film. I like the acting, I like the characters in this film, and it really is all on the shoulders of two performances, because it's all about these two brothers. Now, the older brother of this film is played by Alex Pettyfer. You might have heard of him. I think he was the main character in, well, technically I guess not main character because everyone thinks Channing Tatum is the main character of Magic Mike, but he was in Magic Mike and he's been in a few other things. I think the first thing I ever saw him in was, what is it, Alex Rider, Operation Stormbreaker, based off of the book Stormbreaker. Yeah, he was Alex Rider, he was the main character of that. That was one of the first things I ever saw him in. And he's been in other things like I Am 4 and Beastly and a few other young adult novel adaptations and a few other independent films as well. Now, I love what Alex Pettyfer does in this film. I think he's one of the stronger of the two performances that I do admire. Yeah, and he is a little bit more minimalistic with or a little more subtle, because his voice is a little bit more monotone than our other main character, and I feel a few people are going to be bored by that and not like that as much, but all of his emotions is more of his facial expressions and his eye contact, and there's some really great things he is doing with his performance in this film, and a lot of nice subtle things that I highly admire. But our main character is the little brother, and again, I have to say in quotes because these characters, they're basically pretending to be brothers, and you figure that out pretty quickly, and you figure out that, oh, there's something else going on here. Anyway, the main kid, the actor is James Freedson-Jackson. He was in Cop Car. He was one of the main kids from Cop Car, which I liked, highly admired. He's good in this movie too, but I think some of the line deliveries that he has is a little whiny and a little off-putting and a little annoying to me, but the rest of it is completely fine, and I understand what he's going for this film, and I love his character, and I do like his performance overall.
Are you having fun?
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't look like you're having fun.
I kind of feel weird.
Weird how?
It's like when I try to sleep. can't stop thinking. And when I think I'm asleep, it turns out that I'm still awake. And then I kind of can't tell what's like real or a dream or whatever.
And really, they're the only two performances I can talk about because almost everyone else is just side character and not that big of a role. It's really all on the shoulders of these two characters. And heck, one of them's only in half of the movie. Now, I do like the mystery involved with their past. The past trauma is slowly revealing itself throughout the movie as our main character has nightmares, is having nightmares about the past, and eventually talks about what happened, and then eventually it's revealed the real truth by the end. I do like how the movie plays out. I like how the movie flows. It is slow-paced. It is a little bit more mundane than other minimalistic films, but I do feel that there is a nice pacing, there is a flow, there is a lot of interesting things that happen with subtlety in the scenes and a lot of mystery that ultimately reveals itself, and it's things that you're able to piece together by the end of the film. I do like watching this movie twice, seeing how I knew how the ending was and then seeing all these other scenes in a different light. So the film does have rewatchability. Now, this is more of a suspenseful thriller rather than an action thriller or a horror thriller. And there is an actual action scene in the film, or there is a shootout, I would say, which is really great. Honestly, everything that happens in the woods is probably my favorite part of the movie. And it's only the middle of the movie, and it's probably like 3 or 4 scenes, so it's not that big. It's not that big of a point in the movie, but it has a very big significance. Also, this film does deal with pedophilia and a few other uncomfortable things in a very different light that is, while other people are probably going to say that's atrocious to put it in this sort of light, but at the same time it is a little bit more brave and it is unique and it makes it all the more interesting. So I will say that this is definitely not a film for many people. And I guess there's no real score for the movie, but the music in the film I thought was very effective, and there is some really awesome shots in this movie. There is some really good camera work, but at the same time it is definitely low budget, and so it has a bit of a cheapness to it, or a bit of a low quality haze. Maybe it's just the version I saw, but there is this sort of low quality-esque to it, and it's trying to make up for its low quality in some really interesting artistic shots. Sometimes they don't look as good as something like It Comes at Night. There's a lot of shots within this movie that reminds me of It Comes at Night. Now, there is quite a few things that I ultimately didn't like about the film. For one, again, it is a little bit more mundane, and it does drag at times, especially when it comes to the third act, or at least the last third of the movie. Because by the last third of the movie, I've sort of figured out and pieced together most of the things, and so it becomes one of those moments where it's like, okay, let's just get on with it, let's get the big reveal, because I pretty much figured out what has happened. And there is a lot of mundane scenes in this film where it's just revealing a small little detail, and it feels like it takes forever to get to that small little detail, and it doesn't ultimately add to the movie as much as other scenes or a scene should. I didn't like the ending, or at least the last scene of the film. The last scene of the film felt a little too much. It felt a little too, I guess, pretentious is a way to explain the last scene. And ultimately, the last scene just didn't hit me as much as the rest of the film did. I think there was a perfect place for the movie to cut off, and it happened before those last scenes. And the film's only an hour and 20 minutes, so it's already a short film. And so I'm going to give The Strange Ones 3.5 stars. So, have you seen The Strange Ones? What'd you think about it? Go ahead and comment below. And if you like this video, please subscribe and check out my other movie reviews and movie countdowns. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.